Hello again, beautiful artists, and welcome back to another episode of Paint Along with Skye. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Skye, and I post beginning level acrylic tutorials here on YouTube every Saturday. So hit subscribe if you'd like to join the fun and paint along. Hit the bell icon to be notified when I post a new video. Okay, so today we are doing a beautiful and transformative butterfly painting. Very beautiful blue butterfly. Simple background today that we're going to start with. I have my 3 standard brushes. I have a large flat wash brush, a medium-sized pointed sable brush, and then also a small detail brush. I'm going to go ahead and get those in my water cup. Check the description box below for a more detailed materials list of everything that you will need for today's painting and to paint along each week. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into the background. So I'm actually going to start in the center here with a sort of oval shape, and I'm going to use my square brush, big square brush for this. And in that oval shape, I'm going to create some light green. So the colors that I have here are just my primaries, black and white, and then I also have a phthalo green. So that's what I'm going to use here in the center is this phthalo, which if you paint along with me, you know that this is my favorite color. Okay, and just like a messy oval with what I call crazy brush strokes. Grab a little bit of white and kind of add that in there to create some nice little texture inside of those brush strokes. Okay, so a little bit of wet on wet blending there. That looks good to me. I'm just going to bring it out a little bit here and there to kind of mess it up, and now I'm going to rinse my brush. Create a beige. Now this is a little bit tricky, mixing them from the primaries. So if you are a total newbie, you can also just get beige. So that's going to be in the description box below too, in the section about the materials. But I like to mix from primaries just because it's a little bit more challenging, and I just feel like a little bit more valuable for you guys to see me do. So you can go ahead and take a shortcut if you need, but what I'm going to do is go ahead and start out with like an orange. So I'm going to take my yellow, I'm going to mix a little bit of red into that to create an orange. Well, that's kind of like already a little bit beige. It's just a little bit too orange. So the opposite of orange is blue. So we're going to grab just a hint of blue, and that's going to kind of tone it down and create hopefully a nice toned down orange, which is beige. And then if you grab a little bit of white, that's going to make it just like a little bit more of a sandy color. And with this beautiful sandy color, I'm going to start adding some brush strokes along the outside edge of that green. Now the green is going to blend a little bit. You don't want to over blend it. We want to have that beige pretty much layered on top of the teal. Okay, and then before I get too blended with my brush strokes, I'm going to rinse my brush. Just picking up too much of that green, so you may need to rinse your brush. And I'm going to grab a little bit of a lighter version and just use that lighter version to kind of help me blend now that I have the 2 colors laid in there. So that works good for this step. So now you can see a little bit more blended. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a pinch of black. I'm going to add it into that beige. You may need to mix up a little bit more. So we're trying to create like a dark brown now. Kind of allowing some other colors to get pulled in there. You're actually kind of deliberately making a muddy color. A little bit too much green. So red and green are on the opposite sides of the color wheel, so they're going to create brown. And then also blue and orange are also going to create brown. Okay. And now with that dark brown, I'm going to go along the outside edge in kind of the same way that I did with my beige. We've created a nice little rustic frame. So this is actually the same background as my rustic heart painting, which is actually definitely a few notches easier than the butterfly that we'll paint. So that's a good option with this background too. It's a very popular painting. And really great for Valentine's Day or to do for someone you love. Is this a little rustic heart? Okay, I'm gonna grab a little bit more teal because I got a little too heavy-handed. So you can play with any of these colors now to create your nice little vintagey, rustic looking frame. And then I'm gonna grab my medium-sized brush. I'm gonna do two things with this. So the first is going to do the edges of my canvas. So this is just gonna create a really nice framed look. So just all the way across all four sides of your boxed canvas. Obviously, if you're using a canvas board or something flat, then you can omit this step. But then, so this is kind of easier to do on an angle, is you kind of drag your brush along the edge and it will create that nice rustic-y looking frame. So again, just kind of really lightly dragging your brush across the canvas like so, and that you'll also want to get the side. So I'll go ahead and paint my sides at break, but we're gonna get that frame finished. Really quick little step there. And messier the better, right? So we're getting that kind of vintagey framed look. And then I'll come back in and touch up my sides later. But let's go ahead and get that all filled in and let this dry, and then we'll come back and add more. Okay, and we're back with a nice dry background. I've rinsed my brushes and got some clean water. And now I have a fresh palette with two blues. So it's a cobalt blue and an ultramarine blue. I also have black and white and more phthalo green. Let's go ahead and do our butterfly shape with our small brushes. So we gotta make our shape first before we start filling in. I'm just gonna use blue. The lighter of my two blues, the cobalt blue. And what I'm going to do is the first two top segments of wing first, and then the bottom two. The reason that I do that is I find it a little bit easier to mirror things like that than to get too far ahead of myself and do a whole wing and then try to copy it. So however this works for you, and just remember that this step is a sketch as well. So as long as you start small, you can adjust the shape further out and get things all nice and adjusted and finessed, if you will, when it's filled in. So let's go ahead and start right in the center of our canvas. And I'm actually going to draw the body first with just like a little oval. So just like the main top part of the body of the butterfly. That way I know where I'm going from. So let's go ahead and go from the upper right hand part of that oval now. And we're going to do a curved line that comes up. This part's going to flare out a little bit. And then we're going to come down a few little notches with these curved lines. Okay, so I have a few little curves. And then I'm just going to bring it round and bring it back to connect to the body of the butterfly. So that's really connecting to like the bottom part of this top segment here, but there is more to the butterfly, so it's okay if you use that whole space. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to copy that as best as I can. 1, 2, 3, and the fourth one coming in. And then we're going to do the bottom segments in the same kind of way where we try to copy one. Doesn't matter which side you really start on. But I'm going to go ahead and bring this out down here, and then we're going to do the same kind of little curves. 3, 4, 5. And then just bring it up. Okay. Light-handed with my brush. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. That looks pretty good. And then, like I said, this body is actually going to be longer. So let's go ahead and just elongate that shape right now so that we have a good idea of what our butterfly is looking like. Okay. I'm going to make sure that you get clear in here what part is the wing and what part is going to be the center of the body. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to go ahead and fill in with my medium brush. With that same blue color, I'm going to add just a pinch of white, which is mostly just to get some good opacity, opaqueness. That's just going to be our base color here. And like I said, as I'm filling this in, I can sort of finesse that shape and make it a little bit neater. This part is easy to take a really long time on, but since we're going to be doing a little bit of wet on wet blending, I'm really going to try to speed through it. So I really want to try to get that blue filled in quickly, especially it's a sort of warm day today here. So my paint is drying quickly. Okay, getting that all filled in. Not being a perfectionist about it. Actually looks pretty cute. I'm feeling optimistic about this one. The shape of the butterfly is certainly the most challenging part of this painting. So give yourself a pat on the back if you've made it this far. Also, if you are painting along with me today, I've created a Facebook group called The Art Club. And we share our artwork in there from the classes, and then also just, whatever you're working on. I want to see it. I would love to see your art. So check the description box below for information. A link there to join the club. It's been really, really fun to see everyone's work. I also just share like fun, inspiring art things. So all kinds of different wonderful creative things to keep those creative juices flowing every day of the week. Okay, that looks good. Now I'm going to grab a little bit of white, and right in the middle of these, I'm going to do a few streaks, kind of going the direction of the butterfly. The more times you go over this, the more it's going to kind of blend, which is what we want. So this is what I was talking about with that wet on wet blending. And this is kind of a play, so do a little bit of white. You might need to grab a little bit more blue and kind of go back and forth there and make it how you like. The idea here is to get that highlight right in the center part of each of those wings. That looks pretty good. Now I'm going to take my baby brush, and I'm going to do a second wet on wet blend. This one is going to be along those edges. We're just going to go in the edges here with kind of like an outline, and then we're going to pull some of that dark blue in. Okay, so I'm using that ultramarine blue baby brush. Pulling a little bit of color. Look at how pretty that already looks. Kind of reminds me of my face painting days. Lots of butterflies. Okay, just along the edges, not going all the way in there, and then just pulling that color in and creating that beautiful subtle gradation. Very nice. Perfect. Okay. Such a simple technique for what I think is a really striking effect. And this is really the basis of acrylic painting, is getting those shapes, filling them in with their base colors, and then adding highlights and shadows. So this is a shadow. That white was the highlight. All the beautiful different emeraldy tones. I was just thinking about how this type of butterfly is so vibrant. This blue color is actually really challenging for us to get in pigments, in paints, and just like how much humans have to work to recreate this color that's so effortless in nature. So amazing. My random deep thoughts. Okay, pulling that blue in, looking really, really nice. I love it. Okay, now I'm gonna rinse my brush. I'm gonna start working with black now. This is where some things are really just gonna start coming together, even though I think it already looks pretty cute. Let's go ahead and take our same baby brush with the black, and I'm going to now refill in the oval. I'm gonna go a little bit further up. So again, I started small so that I could make it larger and the right size once it gets filled in. Okay, like so. Looks perfect. Let's kind of taper that off. And then from the top, we're just gonna do 2 little curved brush strokes for its antennae. Okay, now this is actually kind of towards the end here. So we're gonna do a few more little colors in the wings. And it's kind of the home stretch here. So first, I'm gonna grab a little bit of teal with some white. And I'm going to add a highlight color just a few places in these wings. This needs to be a very subtle step because this is the same color as the background. So while I like the idea of having a little bit of this color in here, just to kind of bring a little bit of green in there into the wing, don't go overboard because it will look like he has see-through feathers. Or wings rather, excuse me, feathers. Okay, and now I'm gonna grab my black. Again, I'm gonna do some outlining work. Do a little bit of black in the wings as well, but for now, let's just go ahead and just do a nice outline. Take your time with this step. Know how we were enjoying our Saturday together. Okay, there we go. Just one wing at a time. I feel like the black outline really does add a nice little something something. And I usually have black outlines in my paintings, but this butterfly actually does have black outlines on its wings. So just trying to copy reality now this time, even though usually my black outline kind of makes things look a little bit cartoony. So I've been told, and many art teachers hate my black outlines. I'm really bad about following arbitrary rules, especially when it comes to things like art. Now, these 2 inner lines are going to be a little bit thicker. This is a pattern that's on the wing. So I'm just going to come back over those 2 specifically. Make a nice thick black line. Okay, so that's gonna be a little bit thicker than the other lines. back when I would face paint. As you can see, it takes a little while to create a nice butterfly. And so many kids would ask for it, and they don't have always the greatest level of patience, particularly in events where there'll be face painters, because it's usually a festival or a carnival, and I mean, there's a lot of enticing things around. So I would have wiggly, impatient canvases. It would be very challenging to paint a really beautiful butterfly on a child's face. So if you're a face painter out there, mad respect, because it was too challenging for me. Too hard for this control freak here. Okay. Look at how pretty that's looking though. And now I'm going to do a few things in the wing that are really just going to pull everything together, although this is already very beautiful. So go ahead and just, with that same black, I'm going to go about halfway here in my top wing. I'm going to do a little curved line that comes in. These are the veins that are in the wings. Okay, and we're going to just copy it on the other side. Okay. In the bottom, we're going to have two little veins. One that comes down, copying it each time. And then very gently coming off in either direction. Very beautiful, delicate. Reminds me a lot of leaves. And in the top as well. So two little main veins. Coming off in either direction. And then also from the bottom of the wing, you're going to do a few little veins that come up. And these are going to come up from the part, like the highest point here of your little curve. Really want to be as gentle as possible with these lines. Very, very light-handed. Just a few. And from the bottom. There we go. And then finishing up our top part here. I'm going to have a few lines that come from the center. And then also from the edges. Okay. All right, and then just one more line coming from the highest peak here of your little curve. Okay, one last little step, just going to be to do a little bit of white. So I feel like the white just allows a little bit of definition in the body part. So it's actually white with black, so a nice gray color. I'm just going to come in here and do a little bit of like a white highlight so that you can see the difference in the body. There we go. Versus all the shadow lines that we brought in. Okay. I think a little bit of clean white at the end is always so pretty. So I'm going to do just a few little baby brush strokes in each wing as well. Just a little bit. Okay. And I think that is good. I like what I've come up with today. Let me know what you thought of today's painting in the comment section. I would love to hear it. Love to see you over in the art club. And that is all I have for you guys this week. So until next time,